Please go live.
Well, a very good morning to everyone. My name is Fela Durotoye, and I am grateful for the opportunity to be here with you this morning. And, I'm sure that you have been having an amazing time the last 3 days of this conference. And I would like to very quickly say a very, very special thank you to my brother from another mother, Dr. Ben Dike, and the leadership team of the Joshua Leadership Project. I salute you. I honor you for your visionary effort in raising leaders for this generation. I really, really, can only say that 17 years is no joke. Within one more year, and then the Joshua Leadership Project will be able to vote, because you'll be 18 years old. So, 17 is really an amazing thing, considering that in the Sub-Saharan region, most ideas that literally are birthed will not see the light of day in 5 years, let alone 10 years. The statistics show us that out of 5 businesses that are started, within 5 years, 4 of those businesses are going to die. And I can be aware that I'm sure this time and season that is even challenging for everybody. The statistics are probably going to be shocking. But most importantly, I want to acknowledge all the speakers who have gone ahead of me and who have added so much value to your learning and to your understanding and to your capacity to be able to lead, to be able to adapt, to be able to arise, to be able to advance in this time and season. So I salute all the great speakers, particularly, I guess, the speaker that was just before me, Mr. UK, a great leader in the financial institutions or in the financial services space. And really just want to say thank you to every one of you. Well, I would like to start by really talking about something that is very core to my heart, leadership, because I think that when you try to understand what the essence of man was, the only way you can look at it, the essence of anything or the purpose of a thing, is for you to go to the manufacturer of that thing. And when you look at the fact that man was manufactured by God, because the Bible says, that when God wanted to make the birds, he spoke to the skies. When he wanted to make the fish, he spoke to the waters. When he wanted to make the plants and the animals, he spoke to the ground, to the earth, to the soil. And he said, let there be, let there be, let there be. But when he wanted to make man, he spoke to himself. And the most important thing is to understand that in a way, we are at the core of who we are. The source of who we are is God. It is God, and therefore, if you want to know what your purpose is in life, you cannot get your purpose until you go and find out, who you are and why you are. When the purpose of a thing is unknown, Dr. Miles Monroe said, abuse is inevitable. Why? Why are you the person that you are? Why were you born for such a time as this? Why are you here? Wherever it is in the world that you're watching from today, why are you here and why are you here now? And so to be able to get the purpose of a thing, you need to go and check with the manufacturer. And I think it was best described in the first book of God's manual to man. And I call the scriptures God's manual. It's a life manual for me. And that basically said, when God spoke to himself, says, let us make man and let them have dominion. And so you realize that the purpose of man was first and foremost to have dominion. Dominion. And when you think about the word dominion, there are many kinds of adjectives you can use, whether it's rule over, whether it is to lord over, whether it is but I think the one that I like the most is to lead. To lead. And when you talk about leadership, I think that, it's ingrained in the heart of God, because especially when Christ came, he says, listen, no. Don't come and rule the way the Gentiles, the people who confused rulership. Because man was given rulership over a few things: the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, the cattle, the creeping things, and the land. But nowhere in the dominion mandate was man given the rulership over man. Man was never meant to rule over man. Man was meant to lead man. And so we have to understand that at the core of our soul, at the core of our being, we were created to be leaders. That's who we are. It's not who you want to be, it's who you are. And when God spoke to man, he was talking about the agenda of leadership. He wasn't speaking about gender. Male and female were gender, but man was agenda. And so the agenda of man on earth is to lead, which means if we do not understand the meaning of leadership, we are likely to waste our time. And since our life is time and time is life, when you waste your time, you're committing suicide. When you waste someone else's time, you're committing murder. So, what does it mean to lead? And I'm very grateful that, of all the different dimensions and definitions of leadership, many of which I'm sure over the last 17 years, including this year, that you have heard on the Joshua Leadership Project, there are multitudes of definitions. In fact, by 2006, there were 12,500 definitions of leadership alone. And between 2006 and 2012, another 12,500 books have been written on leadership, each one of them having a definition. So I decided that rather than try to even first of all define leadership, and I'm sure that in this conference, many definitions have gone forth, let me try and use the opportunity to show leadership. And so I have a little video that I would like the organizers to please help me play, and it gives the best and the most descriptive, accurate definition of leadership in action. And so I hope that it's queued up and can be shown to me, but I would just wait for a few seconds for that to happen. Okay, thank you, IEO. Please go ahead and show it.
इसमें टैक्स भरते हैं क्या? बहुत सारे इससे क्या? नहीं होगा यार।
सर आपके लिए उस पार कार का इंतजाम किया है सर। आइए सर। ये चल चल।
I hate this country.
चलो तो हिंदुस्तान चले, तुम चलो तो हिंदुस्तान चले, तुम चलो तो हिंदुस्तान चले, तुम चलो तो हिंदुस्तान चले। लगा हाथ के सूरज सुबह निकाला करे, हथेलियों में भरे धूप और उछाल करे। ओ लगा हाथ के सूरज सुबह निकाला करे, हथेलियों में भरे धूप और उछाल करे। उफक पे पाँव रखो और चलो पकड़ के चलो, उफक पे पाँव रखो और चलो पकड़ के चलो। फलक पकड़ के उठो और हवा पकड़ के चलो, फलक पकड़ के उठो और हवा पकड़ के चलो। तुम चलो तो हिंदुस्तान चले, तुम चलो तो हिंदुस्तान चले, हिंदुस्तान चले।
Thank you very much for that. And, I'm sure that many of you enjoyed that video as much as I have. I think that that's one of the videos I have used the most to demonstrate the whole concept of leadership. I mean, no doubt about it, it's a completely different way of seeing leadership, because I think most of the world has always thought of leadership and leaders are the people who have power, who have authority, who have positions, who are appointed, who are elected. And one of the things that you would notice in that video was that, there was a problem. There was a crisis. It wasn't a man-made crisis. In a way, it was an act of God on everyone. It disrupted everything. It disrupted the flow of traffic. I'm sure that there must have been many disappointments. People would have missed their meetings. People would have missed picking up their children from school, whatever it was. There was a disruption. And it turned out that whilst everyone, especially the adults, the ones who knew, the people who had capacity, the ones who would have thought were old enough, whilst they were there sitting down, many of them complaining, I'm not sure whether you could hear, but there was a lady in the bus who said, I hate this country. And she was hating a country for a tree that had blocked her path. And that tree, she was refusing to move the tree, but hating the country for refusing to do anything about the tree that was blocking her way. And then all of a sudden, this young boy emerges who literally doesn't have a car, is not old enough, not strong enough, not supposedly all the not enoughs. And this young boy is walking past the tree to get to the other side and continue on his way. Nobody would have blamed him if he didn't do anything about the tree. But this boy looks at that tree and something in him says to him, you and I cannot be in the same place. If this problem cannot exist at the same time and season that I am, I would either leave or you must leave. And something in that boy must have started to say, listen, greater is he that is in me than you, this tree that is in the world. And so before you know it, the boy decided to take an initiative to solve the problem that he didn't cause. He didn't blame anybody. He didn't complain. He didn't criticize. He just said, let's contribute and solve this problem. And that is one of the first most important things that we would notice about leadership. Because no doubt, all of us agreed that that boy was the leader. And one thing that we realized was rather than complain, rather than cry, rather than criticize, he contributed. But to contribute, he had to believe in himself. He had to believe that he had the capacity to be able to use what he had, which were his simple hands, to be able to do what he wanted, which is to get the tree out of the way. That boy must have seen that tree out of the way, and until that tree left, he wasn't going to leave it alone. And that speaks to you in volumes about the power of leadership. That boy was not appointed, therefore leaders are not in need of an appointment. He wasn't elected. You don't need to be elected to be a leader. He wasn't, leadership has nothing to do with age. Leadership has absolutely nothing to do with a position of authority. He didn't have a position. He probably didn't have any money. And so leadership never focuses on what you don't have. Leadership is the mentality that seeks to use what you have to create a desirable change. And once you notice that he started to commit himself to that tree, to solving it, soon other people saw his commitment, not his effort, but his commitment. And they joined with him and they began to push that tree until together everyone solved the problem. But that boy did what great leaders do. Because action speaks louder than words. He inspired literally a generation of people to commit to solving a problem until they could create a desirable situation for everyone. I'm going to say that again. So I think it's very important that you hear that. That young leader inspired everyone to commit together to solving a problem that was affecting everyone. And many times that is what is called change. In a sense, leaders are people who know how to galvanize people to create desired change. I want you to please remember that. Leaders are the people who have the ability to bring people together, to focus their attention, to get their commitment, to be able to create a desired change. Much of the time, the change is not just for the leader, it's for the people. And therefore, you realize that most leaders are not driven by self. They are not driven by ambition. They are driven by a vision of making things better for others and for all. And so whenever leaders show up, things get better, places get better, but most importantly, people get better. I want you to note these three things because I'm going to be challenging you with a few really grave questions. Whenever leaders show up, write it down if you can. Whenever leaders show up, things get better, places get better, people get better. And I reserved people for the last, even though it was truly the first. Because what leaders know how to do more than anything else is they know how to bring out the best in themselves and in others. Please write that down. Leaders know how to bring out the best in themselves and others. And so what you see with that boy was that he literally committed himself to solving a problem. And in his commitment, he kind of like brought out the best of himself. But then there were other people who also had what it took to add to solving that problem, but they were not doing it. They were running away from the rain. But when they saw him, he inspired in them the capacity to bring out the best in themselves. And so leaders create change. Now, there are two kinds of change that you can see. Where there's one which is called improvement, where things get better. But there are times, such as the ones that we live in today, where things are not just, incrementally better. They're not just better. They are different. They are different. And I think that just as we saw in that video, we live in times of disruption. We live in a time where it is, some people may have certain conspiracy theories about whether the COVID virus came out of a lab. But one thing we know is that there has been nothing that has affected the world like this, except in the last 100 years when we had the Spanish flu. Guys, we are in a time of global disruption. Truth be told, we are in a time of not transition, we're in a time of transformation. When change is incremental, when change is small by small, as we say in our local palace, that is transition. When change is in leaps and bounds, that is transformation. And we are in a transformational era. Who could have believed that we will be working from home today? Who could have believed that you and I will be listening and joining and speaking at a conference without seeing one another? Who could believe that? For the last 16 years, I'm sure Joshua Leadership Project has had to commit millions of naira to organizing this one conference. They would hire big, massive event venues. They would fly in speakers from all over the place. They would have protocol teams that would go and pick them up at the airport and check them into hotels. There would be food and and all of a sudden, between last year's Joshua Leadership Conference and this one, there is a complete, not transition, but transformation. And the interesting thing about transformation, and I have the definition from Cambridge, it says transformation is a complete change in appearance or character of something or someone, especially that thing or person that is improved. This is amazing. So transformation always speaks to the fact that there is a complete change in appearance or character of something or someone, but it must be to an improvement. Now, I know that when disruptions like this happen, many times we see all of the downside. We see the fact that, yes, and unfortunately, the health pandemic has stolen lives and robbed many people of their loved ones. And that is a shame. Many people are today in hospital and they're suffering from different kinds of respiratory illnesses. There are some people who have not been able to access hospital because many of the hospitals have now been dedicated to the treatment of people with the virus. There are people who had their medical healthcare systems in other countries. They had doctors in America and doctors in the United Kingdom, and they didn't know that the airwaves were going to be shut down we've heard of quite a few people who normally would probably have survived whatever it was they were dealing with, but because the airwaves were shut down, they could not fly. Who could believe that it will be possible for you to have a visa, that it will be possible for you to have the money for a ticket and you will not be able to fly? Who could believe that? But that is the kind of disruption that has taken place. And today, there has been economic disruption coming out of that particular disruption because they had to lock down. And because we had to lock down, then, of course, there was the economic disruption, which has completely disrupted businesses, the way that they can run. And so many people are going through the downsizing. And of course, we're seeing pressure mounting homes as many fathers and mothers and those who are the caregivers in the homes who have not now, their financial base is being strained. And the way that we worship is changed completely. Most people are going online and joining church and having worship from their sitting rooms or their bedrooms. Just last week Sunday, I was ministering in a church in Leeds from my dining table here in Nigeria. The last time I ministered there was 2014. They flew me all the way into the United Kingdom to come and minister to them. And this time around, I was meeting, and I could see the people. Many of them were lying down on their beds as they were listening to me. Some of them were on their sitting rooms. The world has changed. Now, I know that generally, this is what happens, is that a lot of times, because we are not used to things that are changing and transformation, we usually want to hope that we come back to the way things used to be. But ladies and gentlemen, great leaders, please let me inform you, this is the new normal. This is the new normal. The change has come. The old has gone. The new is here to stay. And whilst you may be more comfortable with the old because you have invested more experience in the old, learning how to run the old, you've invested, so much in building infrastructure for the old. Truth be told, things have changed. Things have changed. And until, please hear me, until the world can find not just a vaccine, but a cure to the COVID virus, social distancing is going to be the new normal. And because we cannot then all fit into one space, we are going to have to learn how to use technology to connect with each other. Which means that many offices with their beautiful office and lovely marble and nice leather chairs, many of them are going to be empty. The Google campus, one of the largest office buildings in the United States, is completely empty. Schools are changing. Cambridge University has already declared that the entirety of the next session, which is 2020 to 21 session, is going to be online. They're saying even if the cure was found, even if the epidemic, that we could find some kind of vaccine, they are not bringing the students back to school for the next 1 year. Harvard has already committed to at least the first semester of the next session, all the way from now, online. So let's be clear. The world has changed. And one of the ways you will know when it's a new world and a new order is that, listen to this, the new way of doing things will be better or more effective. It will be cheaper, it will be faster, and it will be more convenient. I want you to remember those 4 things. These are the hallmarks of an irreversible shift. It will be better and more effective. It will be cheaper. It will be faster, and it will be more convenient. And when that happens, the truth about it is that people are not going to be able to go back to the way things used to be because they have tasted the way things are today, and they now find it easier, they find it cheaper, they find it faster, they find it more effective. I'm sure that this conference is being viewed by more people than have ever joined this conference in the last 17 years. People are all over the world at their convenience, logging on, joining in. So the world is changing. And when the world changes, leaders are needed. Because leaders are, remember where we started from, leaders are the kind of people who know how to galvanize the world and bring desirable change. And sometimes when change happens to the leaders, leaders are the ones who must be able to create desirable results from the change that has happened. So I want to quickly speak to a significant kind of change that is happening today that I need you to be abreast of. And please remember, I said there has been a shift from the old to the new. And many times when shifts take place, there is a power shift. There is a relevance shift. And one of the things that you find out is that, for instance, human interaction offline has now shifted to human interaction online. And today we are becoming much more comfortable. I remember, for many of the years that I have been as a leadership coach and a management consultant, all my coaching was done human to human. The few clients that I had outside Nigeria, it would be when I traveled abroad that they would have their coaching sessions with me. When I was going to have coaching sessions, I would have the guys, we would lay out the tables, we would meet in a nice restaurant, or sometimes I would go to their office. It was always wrapped in pomp and pageantry until we realized that, you know what, we need to talk and we don't have the luxury of being able to move around. And all of a sudden, most of my clients are now wondering, Fela, how come we haven't been doing this before? The hallmark of a shift. Because every time the real shift takes place, people will say, how come we haven't been doing this before? Why didn't we do this before? And so today I'm able to speak to 2, 3 CEOs in one day. I'm now able to coach CEOs in the United Kingdom and the United States and in Nigeria in one day. I can now connect to meetings in Kenya. Recently, the United Nations Food Program Agency got me to come and speak to all their people. I did it from my house. I didn't have to fly to Kenya. I was supposed to be in Kenya in June, but it's been disrupted. The new normal has come. So how are you going to emerge as a leader in this new normal? I'll tell you 3 things that leaders in this transformational season are having to deal with. This is me speaking to and coaching leaders, executive. I'm talking about people who are leading great institutions, some of them having 2,000, 3,000 staff. And I'm going to tell you 3 things that are common. 3 things that are common to all the CEOs I've been talking to. Number 1 is that they have a need for clarity. Please write that down. There's a need for clarity. Number 2, there is a need to align your team and everybody, to align everything you're doing towards going towards the new vision of what you have in mind. So there's a need for clarity, clarity of purpose, clarity of vision, clarity of identity. But then there is the need to align. So clarity and alignment. But then the third one is the need to execute. So if you are going to be able to adapt and change, not only to this season, but be able to lead the change that we're having this season, if you're going to be able to arise to the occasion like that boy did and step up to the plate and solve the problem and bring about a positive movement and advancement for not just yourself, but your society, your nation, the world, you must be able to solve these 3 problems. Number 1, be clear. Clarity is important for the leaders that will help to do this. Number 2, alignment is important. And number 3, execution is important. So I'm going to speak to those 3 things very quickly, and then I would bring this conversation to a close. Now, listen to me, please. The world, through the power of technology, has become flat. Meaning that gone are the days when you had a market all the way to yourself because you were in a territory. As the world has now moved online, the globe is our space. Truly, You know, that we are now the lights of the world and the salt of the earth. The earth is a level playing field. I can say something and people from all across the world will see me. And what that means is that all of a sudden, my market is no longer restricted to Nigeria. My place of impact is no longer restricted to Nigeria. My point of impact and my point of reference is no longer restricted to Nigeria. When you send something online, you put out a post, you put out, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's, link, the world can see you, the world can hear you. You are no longer a local champion if you rise to the occasion. And what does this mean? It also means, on the other hand, that the world can now come and eat your lunch because there is no protection that you had before from the territories and the rumors of, people in Nigeria and people in this, and some people not wanting to come because their security. Now they don't need to come to do business in Nigeria. A pastor friend of mine was saying to me, he said, Fela, look, we've had to do all our services online. And whilst we are now seeing people from all across the world join us, and we have seen the numbers of people logging into our services rise, he said, we've now also seen that there's a significant number of the people who used to come to church who are now, going online on other churches outside Nigeria. So yes, they've gained some and now they're losing some. What am I saying? The world is flat. The world is a flat plane. And what that means is you must be able to define yourself to the world. You must be able to introduce yourself to the world in a way that the world can relate with you. If you're going to be a champion in this time, you must have the following things. There are 5 of them I want to talk to you about very quickly. Number 1, you must be known. And because the world is now online and the globe is actually now on social media, it means that if I type your name in Google, and for whatever the reason is, Google says, do you mean, then there is a problem. You must be known. You must be known. You as a brand must be known. Number 2, you must be known for something. Meaning that when your name shows up, people must be able to attribute your name to something. When I say Coca-Cola, you don't think about a car. When I say Tiger Woods, you probably think about golf, even though you've never seen him before. You've watched him, but haven't met him. But you know him, and you know him for something. If I say Serena Williams, you're going to think of tennis. You know her, and you know her for something. The question is, when I mention your name all across the world, what will people know you for? They must know you, and they must know you for something. Number 3, they must know you for something good. In other words, this is not just the time to be famous for being famous. This is not the time for you to be known for nothing good. This is the time when, as a leader, you must be known for something that people want and need. It's number 4. So be known for something good, be known for something that people want and need. And number 5, be known for something that people are willing to pay for, to enjoy the benefits of what you are known for. You must be known for something that people are willing to pay for, to be able to enjoy the benefits of what you're known for. Now, let me quickly say something. There is a shift, and part of that shift is what I call a deinstitutionalization of organizations and the institutionalization of personalities. I'm going to say that again. There is a deinstitutionalization of organizations and an institutionalization of personalities. What does that mean? Personal brands are becoming stronger than corporate brands. For many organizations today, if you go online and you go on social media, many of those organizations have staff within the organizations that have more followers on Instagram than the organization has. Today, there is a focus on people connecting with people. There was a time when you had to be an investment banker to be able to have the credibility to give advice to people on how to manage their wealth. Today, there are people who have never worked in a bank that are celebrated wealth coaches or wealth management coaches. And the people themselves are honoring them. So remember what I'm trying to say. There is a shift from the power of organizations to power of personalities. And the personal brand is going to be the champion in this new normal. Organizations are going to be paying a greater amount of money for people who have a greater following online, for stronger personal brands. In banking, they're soon going to realize that some of their bankers with the capacity to be able to have communities of hundreds of thousands of people are worth more than somebody else who's just doing his job and has only 20 or 30 followers online. Listen to this. The brand you must emerge at this time. Write it down. The brand you must emerge at this time. And for that brand to emerge, you must be known. You must be known for something. You must be known for something good. You must be known for something people want and need. And you must be known for something people are willing to pay for. Let's begin to wrap this up. There must be clarity of purpose around who you are, what you do. There must be clarity. You must make sure that every time you speak, there is consistency in who you are, because it is repetition that will enhance retention, that will help people to know and remember you. And because the world is not necessarily looking for another of anything. The world is flat. There's so many people doing so many things. You have to be different, and you have to do things differently if you want the world to take note of you. You must have a different perspective to whatever the thing that you're going to do. You must have a different delivery to it. You must have the kind of passion that cannot be ignored when you are delivering what it is that you deliver, which means you must love what you do. Whatever it is that you are going to do, you must love it. And you must be able to play on the global stage so that others can pay you from every currency in the world to be able to enjoy what it is that you give to them. Clarity is important. So I'm asking a few questions. When I type your name in Google, what will show up? If I type your name on YouTube search, what will show up? You must be very intentional about it if you're going to lead in this time and season. Number two, when I mention your name, what do people think about? I mentioned your name today. What comes to the mind of people? Number three, what accomplishments do people remember when your name is mentioned? What have you done in the past that people would remember? Number four, what do people need? What do people want? What problem must they be trying to solve that will cause your name to be mentioned? What will people need that will cause them to mention your name? What do people want that will cause them to mention your name? What problem must they be trying to solve that will cause them to mention your name? And lastly, please remember that your bank account is going to be a reflection of the problems that you're solving. If you don't like what is showing up in your bank account, ask yourself the following question. Whose problem am I solving? What problems am I solving for them? And how complex, how often How important are those problems to the people that I'm solving them for? I'm going to say them again. Whose problem am I solving? If you are not helping, I use that word, helping anybody now, you are not likely to see any flow of cash towards you, either as a business or as an individual. You must be helping someone. You must be solving a problem. If you're not solving a problem, your bank account will reflect it. Number two, whose problem are you solving? What is the problem you're solving for them? And how complex is that problem? The more complex the problem, the greater the value you would see. The more important the problem is, the more priority it is to the customers, the greater the value that they will pay you for the solution. And then the more frequent the problem is solved, the more often the problem is solved, the more the changes into your bank account. So please don't blame COVID for what is in your bank account. Just ask yourself, whose problem am I solving? What problem am I solving for them? And how complex is that problem? How important is that problem? And how often is that problem to the people that I'm solving it for? So there's some problems that you're going to solve that are daily problems. And if you solve problems daily, you would see credits in your account daily, alerts daily. There are some problems that you solve for people once a week, every week. There are others that you solve every month. There are others that are solved every quarter. There are problems that are solved twice a year. There are problems that are solved annually. There are some problems that are solved only once in a lifetime. Once you solve it, hopefully, something like if you make wedding gowns, right? Hopefully, the bride will never have to get married again. That's a once in a lifetime problem solved. I went to Tiffany, a Tiffany shop in Paris once. I was trying to get fresh rings for my wife or something like towards a renewal of vows. And then we found out that the engagement ring was almost 100 times more expensive than the wedding band. And I had to ask them, how can an engagement ring be more expensive than the wedding band? They said, well, truth be told, a lot of people solve their wedding band problems once and for all. But sometimes people get engaged multiple times before they get married. He said, so we try to make money off the engagement, not the marriage. In other words, try and see how you can solve problems that are more frequent. So all of these things speak to clarity. Let me just quickly speak to alignment. You've got to bring your team in alignment. You've got to get them to believe in what you believe. You've got to get them to believe in the vision. If you're leading an organization today, you've got to believe. Organizations are looking for believers, true believers, who can see the future with the CEO, who can be able to believe, not somebody they have to drag along. But as a personal brand, you also have got to bring into alignment everything that you communicate. So there are 7 things you must be able to bring in alignment. Number 1, you must be able to bring your posts into alignment. Meaning that every time people see your posts, it will remind them of what you stand for, the message you stand for. So when I go to your Instagram page or your Facebook page, what is written on your bio? Are you going to say God's child? Are you going to say Son of the Most High? Are you going to say I'm cool? Your bio must be the introduction of what you stand for and you want the world to remember you for. Please listen to me. Your Facebook page is now the shop, is your personal shop. That is where the world connects with you. So they must know you for something, starting with your bio. Number 2, they must be able to make sure that all your posts mean the same thing. You must have a core message. And that core message essentially is reinforced with different posts. You can use different stories to talk about the same thing. But when I go on your page and I scroll through your page, what is the message that I get from it? Whether you intend to or not, you must go and fix that if you want to be able to lead in this time. Number 2, you've got to make sure that you are using your platforms to connect with the people that you intend to connect with, especially the people whose problems you hope to solve. So let me say, if you are a If you're a professional and you are not on LinkedIn and you're not active on LinkedIn, you are standing on the wrong thing. You must know your constituency, the people whose problems you're trying to solve, and you must know where they gather. What platforms do they gather on? And you must be found on those platforms, and you must be active on those platforms, and you must be consistent on those platforms, and you must be consistent in your messaging on those platforms. 3, you must be consistent in your products. Your products must align with your message. Your products must align with what people remember you for. Your products, all your products, it means no matter what it is you're doing, interpret it in the language of the people you want to call you. Interpret it as the solution to their problem. Your projects, whatever project you're involved in, it must be in alignment with the message, the brand you're trying to build. And then, whatever partners you are going to connect with, who you follow on LinkedIn, who you follow on Instagram, who you follow on Facebook, all of these must be in alignment with the core of your message, must be in alignment with the solution that you are offering. It must be in alignment with the problem that you are solving. So you have to bring your message, your team into alignment. Everything you do must be in alignment with what it is that you want people to remember you for. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is execution. And as I speak about execution, I'm just going to quickly just show you something and then, bring this conversation to a close. Here, I hope you can see this. Here is my first iPhone. This is the first phone that I ever had that was an iPhone from Apple. Okay? Now compare this to the current iPhone that Apple is giving. And what I just want you to learn from this is, truth be told, the world is now looking for exceptional excellence, but the world is not waiting for exceptional excellence. If you're going to be a problem solver in this time, you have to be able to act quickly. If you're going to be able to adapt, arise, and advance, you must be able to be agile at the same time. You must move quickly because the world is not waiting. So if you have a great idea, you cannot wait until it is perfected. What I like to say is, thank God that Steve Jobs did not wait for the iPhone 11 Pro Max. He started with what he could. He did the best and he started with that. What does that mean? I want you to write this down. Please prefer progress to perfection. Perfection is the sophisticated spelling or name for procrastination. And in this time and this season, those who lag behind will never lead the change. You can have a great idea, but if you cannot move quickly, it is better for you to start and improve it than to wait to improve it. What perfection says is wait until it is better. What progress says is start and we will make it better along the way. Many of you have great ideas. The new normal has thrown up new problems and new challenges to people. You know something that people are willing to learn. Your knowledge is capital today if you are willing to share it. But as long as you are waiting to perfect that online course that you're trying to do, as long as you are waiting to perfect the thing that you are working on, as long as you are trying to work on it and you're working on it and you're working on it, it will never get done. So I come to say to you today, if you're going to lead, you must lead now. Now faith is, and works is dead. Now is the time. Start it and improve it. Don't wait any longer to solve that problem. Now is the day that you can make that adjustment. Because the greatest challenge that leaders are facing today, like I said to you, is clarity of where are we going. And when they're clear about where they're going and who they are and what they want to offer to the world, then there is the challenge of alignment. We bring everybody together. But the greatest challenge is not knowing what you want to do or knowing how to go about it. It's actually getting it done. I love the way Nike says it. Just do it. If you're listening to me today, I know there's an idea in your heart. Just do it. I know you've been trying to set up a webinar and you want to do an Instagram live. Just do it. If you're going to lead, it's not by intention, it's by action. It is action that will improve things. It is action that will make people better. It is action that will make places better. It is action that will make the world a better place. So today I know that many people are struggling with where's my place in the world? What can I do? Fela, my organization has shut down. Well, as long as you can help someone, you can earn. You can earn more than you ever earned in any organization by solving problems. And because now you have access to people in a way you've never had access before. The world is online. You must go and solve problems, but be known to be the expert in one thing. Be good at many things, but be great at one. Be great at one thing. Coca-Cola Company has many products, 3 of which are very well known. Coke, Fanta, and Sprite. And whilst Sprite and Fanta are good, they're very good products, but they have chosen to be great in the cola business, the cola drink. And you realize that Coca-Cola, all their energy, their efforts, their advertising, they put into Coca-Cola. You will never see a Fanta truck carrying any drinks. You will never see a Sprite truck carrying any drinks. You will always see a Coca-Cola truck, and it can carry Fanta, it can carry Sprite, it can carry water, it can carry different things. But there is a brand, there's something that Coca-Cola wants you to know more than anything else. I'm asking, what is your own Coca-Cola? What is the one thing you want the world to know you with? Be known. Be known for that one thing. Be great at that one thing. Make sure it is something that is desirable, that people need. Make sure it's something they're willing to pay for. And when you get that right, make sure you bring into alignment everything. Your posts, your messages online must be speaking to that thing consistently. Posting consistently. If you post once a week, post on the same day every week. If you post twice a week, post about the same time, but on the same day twice a week. Make sure your messaging is consistent. Make sure that your platforms are consistent. Don't just be on one platform and then not show up for another 6 months. If you're going to stay on one platform, stay there. Be consistent. Let people know where they're going to find you. Let people know when you are going to speak next. And then, of course, you must be able to bring your products into alignment. Make sure your product is solving the problem that you are advertising. Whatever you are speaking online, which is where the new world is, make sure you build a product around it. It's one thing to give out ideas for free, but if you don't have a product, for many years, I used to teach people how to speak. In fact, today is the 15th anniversary of a platform we set up in July 2005 called Speaker's Corner. And I used to go out every 3rd Saturday of the month for years, teaching people how to speak. And people will come and say, Fela, please, how can I speak like you? I said, oh, come on, you'll just come to Speaker's Corner. Whilst we are having Speaker's Corner today, and I'm really happy for that, we are having our 15th anniversary on my Instagram page, on Instagram Live. But guess what? Until I created a product called A to Z of Wow Speaking, and we have sold more of that one product to people than I have ever been able to teach them individually. You must develop a product around it, around what you are good at, so that people can exchange value for money. And as you bring all of that into alignment, start now. If you're going to be able to bring about transformation, which is a significant change, you're going to be able to arise. You're going to be able to adapt. You're going to be able to advance the cause of nature, the cause of humanity today, you must start today. And I want to thank, Dr. Ben DK for giving me the opportunity to speak to your hearts today, to speak clarity into your heart, to speak to you about aligning yourself in the new normal, and to speak about execution. This is how you will lead for such a time as this. The world is looking for leaders. In homes, we're looking for leaders. And you have to be able to bring clarity to your family so that you know what the family vision is. You must know what the family values are. Your children must know what you stand for. But you must bring alignment in your family. Make sure that there's a time you're coming together at least once a day, whether it's time of prayer, where you are reinforcing. And there must be an alignment with what you say and what your children see you do. If you're married. If you're at work, again, there must be clarity. Clarity. What are we doing? What are we here for? And then, of course, how do we align our entire team? Gone are the days when job descriptions were important. Today, roles are more important. Anybody that can solve the problem gets the reward. So there must be an alignment. Top management must be in alignment with the C-suite, with the senior management, be in alignment with the functional leaders, be in alignment with the team. You have to bring alignment in your organization. And then you must be able to ensure that the people can execute. Execution is everything. Don't talk about it, do it. Be a doer. Make sure you're a doer at this time. It's better to try it and fail, and then you can improve. You can ask yourself, what can I do differently? And what can I do better? What should we start? What should we stop? What should we do more and less? But do something. Make sure you start. And I believe that great leaders are going to emerge from nations like Nigeria, where we're hungry. We've defied the world in challenges before. The world that has had it they've always had it good. Now, when there's a disruption, they don't know what to do. We have been disrupted all our lives. Many of you went to school at a time when ASU would disrupt school calendar. Government would disrupt school calendar. Student union would disrupt school calendar. We have been used to disruption. Now is the time for us to be the masters of the game. So I want to say thank you to you. And if you ever need my help, please go ahead and send me an email. Or just you can send me an email to coach@feladurotoye.net. coach@feladurotoye.net. I'm out there helping people right now, helping them gain clarity, helping them put everything into alignment, and helping them move their thoughts into action. I'm really proud of Dr. Ben Dike and the leadership team of the Joshua Leadership Project. And I really want to just thank you and celebrate you all for listening. The new normal is here. I want you to be the champion of the new normal. May God bless you and keep you and cause you to do great and mighty things. The world will remember you for such a time as this as you help the world move into the new normal. Thank you very much. Thank you.